March 16th Blue Springs City Council meeting. If you will stand with me, I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You can be seated. I'll now call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is confirmation of accord.
Councilmember Kaler.
Present.
Tholen.
Present.
Rummel.
Here.
Erickson.
Here.
Edmondson.
Here.
Rowan.
Here.
Mayor Levesey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Just as an order of operations for tonight, I'm going to move item 12, which is the presentation from the Central Jackson County Fire Protection District, up to item 5. We'll do it after the proclamations. But the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Kaler.
Aye.
Tholen.
Aye.
Rummel.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Edmondson.
Aye.
Rowan.
Aye.
Mayor Levesey.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, we have a state champion in the room with us tonight. We're going to start out with that one at the top. If I can have Jackson Polson and the council, if you can join me down in front of the dais here. You can speak on that one. I don't have a handheld mic, so I'm going to use this one so they can hear me on YouTube here. Jackson, why don't you come up here a little closer here? They won't bite, I promise. They'll be nice to you. Well, Jackson is state champion for wrestling. I was able to go attend the school board meeting. Let's see if this works. How you doing tonight? Good. How are you? Check. Okay, we can step back a little here. I was able to attend the school board meeting last week and were able to hear a lot of the accomplishments that he's had. We're excited to get to recognize you tonight here at the city council meeting. I'm going to read some of those things that were provided to us, and they're pretty exciting and interesting things, not just for you, but a history of family athletes, state champions as well. So I'm going to read some of these whereas clauses, and you guys just see how awesome this young man is. Whereas Jackson Polson is the 2026 Missouri State High School Activity Association Class 4 150-pound wrestling state champion, and will be honored today, March 16th, at the Blue Springs City Council meeting. Whereas he's a junior for Blue Springs High School. He won the state championship at the Mizzou Arena in Columbia, and earlier this year reached 100 career wins for the Wildcats. He is from a family of accomplished athletes. This was interesting, I heard too. He is a 4th generation state champion winner. So not only his dad, his grandpa, and his great-grandpa are all state champions, and so a family of athletes. He, as a sophomore, he placed 5th. Yeah, no pressure at all, is he? And in the freestyle state championship, remember he's in the state of Missouri at the freestyle national duels, and where he has earned All-American status by placing 4th in the nation at folk style national tournament. Whereas he's been coached by Blue Springs High School Activities Director and head wrestling coach Alan Hull. Is Alan here tonight? No, not tonight. That's all right, Alan. And whereas he maintains excellent grades, taking dual credit and advanced classes, now therefore, I, Chris Levesey, Mayor of Blue Springs, and the Blue Springs City Council do hereby proclaim today, March 16, 2026, as Jackson Polson Day. Congratulations. No? All right. So let's take a picture here. Bring them the family up here too. We'll get them in the picture. Sorry, I probably should have said that at the beginning. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations. Yes, right. You guys can fill in the middle here. We'll bring them up. You good? I gotta whisper. Everybody looking at me. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Jackson want to say anything? The family want to say anything? You guys good? Congratulations. Thank you. I did think about, we have a council member that is a karate master that maybe you'd have to challenge you for your seat, but I guess we'll pass. No, hold on, don't go anywhere, council. Stay on up here. Come on back. We got more exciting things to celebrate here. So we're also recognizing tonight another amazing program here in the city of Blue Springs, and that is the Exceptional Softball League, where the representatives from the Exceptionals come on up. I think we have a couple-minute video, so let's play that first while we're getting settled. As somebody from park staff ready to air that. Okay, watch the video on the screen there.
That's the wrong video.
Well, I don't know. The volume, but the videos are all video. What's that? Small video.
All right, well, while they can work that, let's go ahead and do this part then first. How about that? So if you're not familiar with the Exceptionals, it's a pretty amazing program that is operated here in the city of Blue Springs. They have some things to share with us, but I want to read the proclamation that we have for them. Whereas the local Exceptional Softball League will be honored tonight, and whereas it is a free league that welcomes any child with physical, mental, or emotional disabilities, softball games are played on Monday nights at Hidden Valley Park in Blue Springs. And whereas the Exceptional Softball received the Musco Give Back Award at the Missouri Park and Recreation State Conference in February of this year, whereas the first league originated in 1993 with the name of Exceptionals was chosen to reflect exceptional kids that play despite any challenges or obstacles they face, and whereas the league offers t-ball, coach pitch, with players assigned to a volunteer buddy who plays alongside them, working as a team to help hit, run, and field the ball. Whereas Exceptional Softball has helped thousands of kids with a wide range of special needs to have a chance to play softball in a league with parents cheering from the stands. Now, therefore, Chris Levinson, Mayor of Blue Springs, and the Blue Springs City Council do hereby proclaim today, March 16, 2026, as Exceptional Softball Day. Congratulations. And I know you have some things to share with us as well.
I'll make this brief. When we started this league in 1993, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. We made up the rules as we went. We just knew that kids with special needs needed to be able to participate in sports like everybody else. And we started out with 18 kids. We started out actually playing the first season on the football fields out at Hidden Valley, and then graduated to the regular girls softball fields. And last summer we had over 350 participants, and they ranged in age from 5 years old to 69 years old. So we have a wide variety of people, but we couldn't do this if it wasn't for the city of Blue Springs, especially the Parks and Rec Department. Roscoe Ryder and Bob Delote helped us get it started. Dennis DeVal kept it going, and now Justin Stewart and Mary Harrington have supported us beyond means. And so we want to give them an award. This is long overdue. We want to present this, that we acknowledge the Blue Springs Parks and Recreation Department in appreciation for more than 30 years of outstanding support and dedication to exceptional softball.
All right, let's get the picture here and we'll play the video. There you go. All right, we'll play the video when we get settled, and then Chief Lair, you're up next. So get prepared.
For the last 30 years, Exceptional Softball has provided an opportunity for kids and adults to take part in recreational activities. This program is completely volunteer-driven. On Mondays in May and September, the 9 softball fields at Hidden Valley Sports Complex are transformed into one of the happiest places on earth. On these fields, players aren't judged by how fast they run, how hard they hit, or how hard they can field. Instead, these games give kids and young adults a chance to compete. Typical softball rules aren't followed, as there are no balls, strikes, and no outs in the game. Everyone gets a chance to hit, run, or roll around the bases. But 2 rules always remain. No participant will ever pay a registration fee, and no kid is ever turned away, even when they're no longer kids. When Sterling Farber created Exceptional Softball, he wanted to ensure that not only did everyone get a chance to participate, but that parents of the participants get to enjoy their child playing. Often parents are the ones assisting their child each day and don't get a chance to enjoy what's going on. Thus, the buddy system was created. Each participant of Exceptional Softball has a buddy who helps them bat, navigate the bases, and field the balls. This allows parents to take a seat behind the fence and enjoy the game. Hundreds of volunteers from youth groups, civic organizations, and schools step in to provide a buddy for each participant. Over the last 30 years, Exceptional Softball has helped thousands of individuals get a chance to play when they may not have had another opportunity. Despite their challenges, it's their energy and simple joy that makes these kids exceptional. Congratulations, Exceptional Softball, the 2026 MPRA Musco Give Back Award recipient.
Can we give them another round of applause? Pretty awesome program. They've been doing great work for a long time. And again, thank you to park staff for all of your hard work in making that continue to be a success.
John,
Yes, Councilmember Kayla.
I think it'd be good to mention that we got those fields artificially turfed, especially to help these out. And if you have never seen a softball game with the Exceptionals, you need to go take the time to do it. It's exciting.
They were out there at the ribbon cutting helping us celebrate.
Yeah.
All right, well, congratulations again. Next up, we have a presentation from Chief Kirk Lair, the Central Jackson County Fire Protection District. They have a couple items on the upcoming election and wanted to give him an opportunity to share some of that information with us. So Chief, take it away when you're ready.
Hi, Mayor and Council. Thanks for the time tonight. We have two issues on the April 7th ballot that we want to bring to you guys' attention. First is our bond issue that we have. That bond issue, if renewed, will rebuild Station 2, which is our second oldest fire station. It's at Woods Chapel and Kings Ridge. It was built in 1985. At that time, we had one person assigned to that station. Now we have a minimum of 5. Also with that, we'll use it to buy fire trucks, SCBA, which is our self-contained breathing apparatus, as well as IT equipment and fire trucks. Then also we have on the ballot is a 1/2-cent sales tax. With that, whatever money we collect from that 1/2-cent sales tax, we have to roll back half of that in property tax back to the our taxpayers. With that, we want to add an additional engine company to our fleet of apparatus, which will add 12 to 15 new people. The hopes is to help us keep our ISO rating of 1, which helps us with our businesses and our homeowners insurance, keeping it down to a class 1. So with that, it's kind of short and sweet presentation, but if you have questions, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Does anybody have any questions for Chief Lair?
Your Honor, I'd just like for you to say one more time, because I think it's critically important that, if I understood it correctly, 1/2-cent sales tax, but half of that rolls back against property tax, and that's cool. We're still paying for it, but not as much as it would look on the surface.
That's correct, and that's by state law that if this passes, we have to roll half of that back. So if we collect $1 million, $500,000 of it rolls back into property tax.
Any other questions for Chief?
All
Thank
right.
you, sir, for coming
Thank
today.
you for your
Appreciate
time.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for McAtee Village. We have a request to have that continued. So first, I'm going to open the public hearing. And I want to give an opportunity for anyone on the council or anyone in the public to make comments on this item before we continue it. Anyone to make comments on the McAtee Village General Development Plan? Okay, with that then, I'll accept the motion from the council to continue to the April 6th City Council meeting.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Motion carries. That will continue to the April 6th City Council meeting. Next, we have a public hearing for a conditional use permit for Moni's Daycare. City Clerk will have items to read for the record.
Mayor, the city has 2 exhibits to enter into the record. City Council Information Form dated March 10th, 2026 with the following attachments. Staff report with attachments, site location map, site location zoning map, applicant narrative, affidavit of publication, 185-foot map, owner's list, resident letter, and bill approving the conditional use permit with proposed amendment. Exhibit 2 is emails received after the agenda was posted. This is all we have to enter for the record.
All right, let me open the public hearing. Staff, again, as we started last council meeting, I get to swear you in, so if you will raise your right hand, anyone that's going to speak tonight, when you're ready. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, give us your name and the address for the record, and then continue with your presentation.
Give me 1 second. Just getting pulled up. Further. Okay. Sorry about that. Logan Day, 903 West Main Street, Blue Springs, Missouri, 64015. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is a request for approval of a conditional use permit for an in-home daycare located at 9305 Southwest Orca Court. The proposed daycare will operate within the existing single-family residence and will remain subordinate to the primary residential use of the property. No exterior changes are proposed, and the use is intended to maintain the scale and character of the surrounding residential neighborhood. Pursuant to Missouri's revised statutes, 210.211, a state child care license is not required when a provider cares for 6 or fewer children, including no more than 3 under the age of 2. At a single-family resident, this limitation helps ensure that operations remain small in scale and compatible with residential areas. Under the city's zoning code, daycare general, which allows 5 to 10 children, requires a conditional use permit. If the number of children requires a state licensing, the state of Missouri would determine whether additional safety requirements would apply. For example, state regulations require outdoor play areas to be fenced when necessary for protection of the children from traffic, water, or other hazards. This determination would be made by the state licensing authority rather than the city. Therefore, the fencing is not a requirement of the city's current code. Because of the limited number of children permitted under state law, traffic associated with drop-off and pickup is expected to be minimal, and outdoor activity related to this daycare is anticipated to remain consistent with the character of the neighborhood. With these considerations, staff finds the request to be compatible with the surrounding residential properties and consistent with the intent of the zoning district, and staff recommends approval with the listed conditions.
Okay, any questions for staff from the council?
Your Honor, do we currently know how many, I guess, in-home daycares we have that are similar to this, that are going to be, I guess, more than the, I guess, what, I'm sorry, it was 1 to 4, didn't have to.
So currently under city code, it's daycare limited, which is 1 to 4 children, which does not require a city business license. But when it jumps into that 5 to 10, where it triggers the general. Previously, there was conditional uses done prior in, I believe, 2018, and there was about 3 of those done, but they are governed under home occupations, which do not require a business license, so there could be others that we just haven't caught.
And then for this conditional use permit, wasn't there a time limit on it? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Planning Commission made the recommendation to have a time limit of 1 year after the applicant stated that they were looking for a commercial property.
Thank you.
Councilor,
Could you tell us the ownership of the property?
It would be owned by the applicant.
So I maybe I should ask that question as well, but when I looked it up on Parcel Viewer, because I think there's some state rules about this, the names of the 2 people on Parcel Viewer with Jackson County Gov is different than the applicant.
Okay.
Although it's similar, I just want to be sure that that's correct.
Yeah, I
rules.
just know that Jackson County Parcel Viewer updates not very regularly. Sometimes it's once a year. So there could be some delays in information on property ownership.
Any other questions for staff and the council? I do have a clarifying question. So does state law licensing for 6 to 10 require a city business license?
So our code writes that they are under a home occupation, but we also state that they need a business license. So in order to do that, we would also require state licensing, which would trigger by the state until they have above 6 kids.
Okay. So it's not state law that's requiring this business license in order to get a state license. It's just our code that requires it when it's above 6 kids.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions from the council?
Is that a for sure fact? Because I thought I read differently on that.
So the code was recently updated in 2024, August 28, 2024, that updated it from 4 kids to 6 kids. So 6 kids fewer, they don't need a state state licensing for in-home daycare.
I'm sorry, I didn't want to counter, but my reading said that I thought that the state required a business license if they are required to have a license, you know, the 6 to 10 threshold or whatever threshold. So.
Okay. So your understanding is the 6
that
to
would
10.
That'd be correct.
The state requires they have a business
6 to
license
10.
from 6 to 10. Okay. Okay, if there's no other questions for staff from the council, then if the applicant present wants to come make a presentation, answer questions. I do have to swear you in as well. If you will raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, will you state your name and address for the record?
Manira Gorbampur, 9503 Southwest Orca Court.
Okay, do you have anything to present to the council, or are you just available for questions?
Yeah, my daughter is here. Do it.
Council, do you have any questions for the applicant? Okay, seeing none, then I guess that's all we needed from you. Appreciate you coming up and being with me.
Your Honor, I'm
Councilman
sorry,
Erickson.
I did have a question. It's related a little bit to my question about the parcel viewer, but I think I have that answered. But are you a permanent resident of the property?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other, Councilman Stolen.
Are you in, so this is for a 1-year term, correct? Are you currently seeking out commercial property? And what is that timeline? Is this gonna be slower? I mean, or is this gonna be quicker than a year? Or are we looking at that you're gonna be renewing in a year?
If you don't mind, I'll answer that because I'm in charge of that. Is that okay?
Sure. Well, actually,
wait.
let me swear you in too.
Yes.
If you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Give us your name and address for the record as well, please.
Sure. My name is Massa Cooper, and I live at 15913 West 160th in Olathe, Kansas.
Okay, then please continue.
Sure. So yes, we are actively looking. As a matter of fact, we had a property that we were almost done with. As a part of the state, we had everything as far as inspection goes, and inspection found some not necessarily good things about the property, so we had to back out. I've been in law enforcement myself for over 15 years, so safety of children come first to me. She's been in the business for 20 years, so together we make sure we have a loving and safe environment for these children. But because her daycare has been so successful, she's quickly running out of space, and she's got a lot of people inquiring about space for her daycare. So that's why we decided to go commercial. So we are actively looking. We have 2 different agents right now looking on the Missouri and on the Kansas side. Specifically, we would like to stay in Blue Springs just because of the community needs, obviously. So yes, we're still actively looking to try to get something going as soon as possible.
And also the requirements of adult per children. With this additional, is there going to be additional people coming in to support?
No, it would just be, it's just us.
And state regulated says that is the
yes, Yes,
based
the
on
number-
age and all of that?
Yes, we are in talk with the state. They've known us for a long time. We've been in business, like I said, for 20 years. So we are in regulation with staff to children ratios. As of right now, there's only 5 kids. We're not looking to expand more than that, just to be respectful to the neighborhood and the neighbors that we have currently. This is just temporary till we can get the commercial going. And once we have the commercial, obviously we'll comply with the state with the staff and children ratio.
And are the kids currently going there now, or is this going to be a new setup for the kids?
No, they transferred. So we had a Lee Summit license when we purchased this home. We were under the impression that is within the Lee Summit district until we found out it's not. So that's why we're here trying to do things properly. So it's just a few families that she had that follow her.
But were they meeting at the current residence?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And how long has that been that they've been meeting there?
Just since January.
Okay.
Yeah, we were supposed to have this meeting earlier, but unfortunately I didn't get the paperwork in time. So.
Any other questions for the applicant from the council? All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have some speaker appearance forms, so we'll start with that. I guess we'll start. Does anyone in the audience like to speak in support of? Okay. In opposition to, I have at least one speaker appearance form from Stacy Parker. Is Stacy here? All right. Stacy, why don't you come on up? I'll swear you in, and you'll have 3 minutes to tell us your thoughts. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, give us your name and address for the record, please.
Stacy Parker, 9304 Southwest Leviathan Court.
Continue whenever you're ready.
Well, good evening. I'm here tonight as a concerned city resident and living in the estates at Chapman Farms. They live directly behind our home. So if you look on the map, it's exactly directly behind the home. Our bedroom faces the back of that home. My husband works nights, so his time to sleep is during the day. And of course it's been winter time, so the kids aren't out playing yet. But my concern is that the kids are gonna be outside playing, waking my husband up. He's not gonna get good quality of sleep and disrupt his sleep pattern, which then can result in other health issues, etc. I'm also concerned if they are planning to take the children to our HOA pool. Are they gonna go on the walking trail? Like, what concerns could potentially happen from that? And probing our HOA may be at risk, and then also the residents. I also am worried about if it's going to decrease our property, because if I have to disclose that there is a daycare operating behind my house and I'm trying to sell it, is that going to diminish my property value, my neighbors' property values that are here? And so it just makes me concerned. I just feel that we shouldn't wait and not give them the permit, have them find a commercial property. There's plenty in Blue Springs. You can drive down and see leases all the time. And I just really hope that you'll consider not extending this conditional permit.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Is there anyone else in the audience like to speak in opposition to? Okay, council, any other thoughts before I close the public hearing? Okay, I will close the public hearing. Next item on the agenda is item 7, introduction and reading of bill 5388, approving the Moni's Daycare conditional use permit.
I'll introduce it, Your Honor.
First reading of bill 5388, an ordinance approving a conditional use permit for Moni's Daycare, Blue Springs, Jackson County, Missouri.
Your Honor, I move we approve on the first reading and move to the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, Your Honor.
Councilmember Erickson.
I forgot to ask the question or make the statement, and the young lady that spoke a minute ago mentioned the HOA. I believe I read that the HOA has not approved this, or I saw something in the agenda. I realize that our job as a council is not to enforce HOA rules, regulations, etc., but perchance maybe at least respect those. I would want to go on record, I guess, to the HOA and to the daycare owners to say that if this gets approved, the HOA should still have precedent over that. It's kind of a perplexing issue, I guess is what I'm saying. The HOA should have the rules respected as well as the city, and I don't want us to be perceived as preempting an HOA rule. If that makes any sense, I don't think it does. But.
We did receive some items by email, council member. I believe one of them was from the HOA. So
I didn't
think
see
your
that.
information is correct. Any other discussion on first reading? Okay, I guess I would just share, I grew up with a family that did in-home daycare. My wife has watched kids at our house previously when our kids were little, so I'm sympathetic to this. I think as I've considered it from a public policy standpoint, 6 to 10 kids, if there was 10 kids there, that's 20 cars a day for this residence. If every house in that cul-de-sac had 20 cars coming in every day, I could see why that would be concerning for the residents and why that's something we would consider from a public policy standpoint. So I have some concerns about approving this. I think I'm excited that there's a successful growing business in town, and I hope they do find some commercial property, but I do share some concerns about this type of residence or this type of business operating out of a residence like this. So those are all I have. With that, then I guess on first reading, all in favor, aye. Any opposed, no?
No.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna say no carries, and this item fails on first reading. Then we'll go to item number 8, which is a public hearing on code amendment for short-term rentals. The city clerk will read the exhibits for the record.
Mayor, the city has one exhibit to enter into the record, City Council Information Form dated March 10th, 2026 with the following attachments. Staff report with attachments and bill amending the Unified Development Code related to short-term rentals. This is all we have to enter for the record.
All right, staff, I'm gonna swear you in as well. If you will raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this case be the true self you got?
I do.
All right, give us your name and address and continue with your presentation.
I actually have it written down this time. Chantel Fry, I'm planner 3 with the city, 903 West Main Street, Blue Springs, Missouri 64015. Again, I'm Chantel Fry. I'm a planner 3 with the city of Blue Springs. Before you this evening is a proposed UDC tax amendment related to short-term rentals. The purpose of this amendment is not to prohibit short-term rentals, but to establish clear and enforceable standards that address life safety, neighborhood compatibility, and the tax compliance. This item comes forward in response to the City Council's direction and community concerns related to short-term rental operations, particularly around noise, parking, occupancy, and the city's ability to ensure hotel, motel tax compliance. At a high level, this amendment modifies 3 sections to the code. The first one being Chapter 605 for business licensing. This amendment will establish an annual registration for the short-term rentals. It will require a local responsible agent. It will set the operational and performance standards of the short-term rental, and it will also create graduated enforcement framework from first violation and so on. The second part of this amendment will amend Chapter 655, which is the hotels and motel section of the UDC, and that clarifies that short-term rentals are going to be subject to the hotel and motel tax, and it also requires that either direct remittance or documentation of a platform remittance of those taxes. The third portion is the Unified Development Code amendment, which will clarify that short-term rentals are permitted residential use wherever dwelling units are allowed, and that it will also confirm the operational standards that live in Chapter 605 will be held to. Some of the key operational standards that staff reviewed was the occupancy, 2-person per legal bedroom plus 2 original occupants, a maximum of 10 occupants unless otherwise approved by the fire marshal. We also looked at parking, 1 off-street space per bedroom up to 4 spaces. And for the properties located in the downtown, on-street parking in a quarter mile may be used to satisfy this requirement. Noise and events was the other thing we looked at. Quiet hours are from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. and any of the outdoor amplified sounds are prohibited, during this time. Commercial or ticketed events are also not permitted. Life safety, the short-term rentals will be required to have smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, and fire extinguishers will all be required at a self-certification. And then a code compliant egress will also be required of the short-term rentals. A local contact will be a local responsible agent, must be available within 24/7 and be able to respond to all complaints and emergencies. The Development Advisory Committee reviewed this item on January 20th and recommended approval. And based on the analysis provided in the staff report, staff recommends approval of the UDC text amendment for the short-term rentals that are as presented. During the Planning Commission meeting on March 9th, 2026, and recommended approval with the following amendment to the proposed ordinance, which you find attached to your packets, that the local responsible agent shall be available 24 hours per day to respond to complaints or emergencies. The original ordinance referenced that they must be able to respond on site within 24 hours. We obviously know that's not always possible, but being able to respond via phone or other means is what we were going for. So the proposed bill includes that amended language and reflects the amendment approved by the Planning Commission, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff from the council? Councilmember Erickson?
Yeah, I think I have three of them. Start with the local responsible agent. That is a designee. In other words, if I were renting, I could designate you to be my local responsible agent. And is that required to be set up ahead of time, or?
Yes, that will be required to be
So
documented.
you have a list of, it doesn't have to be the person living in the home?
Yes.
Okay. And then just for clarification, because I know the answer to this, would you please tell the public who pays the taxes? The hotel taxes, who pays those?
Who pays those? The owner of the short-term rental.
Then would you clarify that? The owner submits the taxes. Is it not true then that the person who rents the room pays the taxes unless the owner wants to pay them? Is that correct?
Correct.
So it works like a sales tax. It's not an additional fee for the owner. It's something that they submit, or their agent could submit them.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And then in the ordinance, as I read it, it says 4 parking places maximum.
Yes.
Why is that? Explain that to me.
I think most of it was going off of, because it's 1 parking per bedroom. Typical houses here in Blue Springs are 3 bedroom and then the 4 would be the maximum for 4 bedrooms.
Maximum required.
Yes.
Okay, because it reads to me like that's all you can have. And
No,
that seemed really strange.
No, it's like I said, it would require the 1 parking space per bedroom up to a maximum of 4 if there's the necessary need for the 4. Obviously, they don't have to have 4.
Thank you. And since I can't count, I really had 4 questions. Where would the fire and CO alarms be located? Would there be one near to each bedroom, or would it just be they have to have one?
That would be up to our building codes, and I would assume that our code states that it would have to be within compliance of fire standards. I don't know those fire standards.
So at this point in time, it would be in compliance with residential, not necessarily hotel motel?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That is 4. Sure.
Other questions from the council for staff?
Your Honor, I do have one question. I can't count that. Annual registration. What is the fee on that? What's that? And that would be paid by the owner as well?
Yes, I don't believe there's been a fee set up at this time, but I would assume that it would correlate just like our business license fee, probably about a $35. I can't say it will be $35, but it will be within the reason of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff from the council? Okay, I guess since we are the applicant, there's no applicant to do presentation, so we will go to the audience. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in support of? Okay, I know I have 2 speaker appearance forms in opposition to. I have first one from Laura Wade. Is Laura in the audience? Come on up. Swear you in. When you're ready, please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Okay, will you state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes when you're ready.
Lara, Lara Wade, 2278 Southwest Park Avenue. I have spent much time reviewing this. I've pored over the municipal codes. I've looked over the fire codes. I've looked over the residential codes. And at this point in time, I'm not satisfied with what's being presented to the council. I have a personal issue with it, and that is that the properties are not being inspected for fire safety. Yes, our guests are paying the hotel tax, and if they stay in a hotel, they are trusting you as our city council and as our city that our hotels have been inspected and that they are safe, that their elevators are safe, that there is fire protection, sprinklers in place in their hotel so that they can rest at ease. But if we are not providing that same service to them, it concerns me greatly. Unfortunately, on the 4th of July weekend, a little girl lost her life. Not in Blue Springs, but she was connected to Blue Springs. Several years ago, she danced at a local Blue Springs dance studio with my daughters. And her loss hits me significantly. As a future short-term rental owner, I take this very seriously for myself. And I know that those things will be in place in our property because I don't want anyone's blood on my hands. I can't control what goes on in that house when I'm not there. I want to do all that I can to make it as safe as possible, but if something should happen, I want people to be able to get out and be safe. I can't guarantee that everybody else feels the same way that I do. And if they're self-reporting, honestly, I don't know their integrity. I don't know if they're going to be truthful. And I want to protect the guests that are in our community. That's my personal gut feeling. I know that everyone may not agree with me, but I would be much more confident in this if the fire marshal inspected properties just as a standard. I know that other municipalities in our area have that in place. I would like to offer our visitors to our community the same safety measures. I could spend hours, and I won't do that to you. My husband's had to listen to me. There's just missing pieces in this. And one perfect example is when you get to the end of this, it says that if you vote yes on this, it goes into effect immediately. And that's where it ends. Which means as of tonight, if you voted yes, every short-term rental in Blue Springs would be non-compliant.
That's your time. Appreciate your comments. Thank you. Next speaker appearance for my opposition to is Anita Cordell. Is Anita here tonight? Anita, if you will come up. When you're ready, will you raise your right hand?
Yeah.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to give in this case to be the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Okay, if you'll give your name and address for the record.
Anita Cordell, 1600 Northwest Bond Place, Blue Springs, Missouri.
Right, you have 3 minutes when you're ready.
Okay, my name is Anita Cordell. I'm actually a real estate agent, a member of the KCRAR, which is Kansas City Real Estate Association of Realtors. But I'm also a resident of Blue Springs, and I'm actually a current STR operator for the last 3 years. My questions and comments include, one, the KCRAR executives have given you guys a model ordinance that they were hoping that you guys would actually consider. So if you guys don't have a copy of that, I can provide that to you. I'm going to talk fast. One thing about the flexibility of this. Will there be any rental flexibility to STRs? I know you guys are independent thinkers, and I want to thank you guys for doing that, because a lot of the municipalities around the city have only been focused on the immediate World Cup. You guys are thinking long-term, which is great. So will there be any rental flexibilities for that? In fact, if there's somebody who's specifically wanting to do a World Cup Series type event, is there going to be some special events permits available? So we would like to see if there is a window of opportunity for that, just in case somebody just wants to provide lodging for that specific event. The grandfathering existence STRs also is a little concerning. The draft ordinance does not include a mechanism for existing lawfully operating short-term rentals to continue as legal nonconformities under the new standards. A grandfathering provision with a defined transition period would protect operators who have made good faith investments under prior regulations and would prevent unnecessary disruption to a local short-term rental market. The local responsible agent also is an issue. The Planning Commission's removal of the fixed on-site response time represents a practical improvement that aligns the ordinance with enforceable standards, but the remaining residency requirement limiting local responsible agents to Jackson County or the surrounding area creates an unnecessary geographic restriction that reduces the pool of potential qualified agents. So you can't operate outside of Blue Springs, and I think that's really limiting. Effective oversight is based on responsiveness, availability, and reliable communication, none of which depend on where an agent resides. Ownership also, the STRs are primarily owned by small businesses, with the stat directly from Airbnb showing that big companies are not the majority who own STRs. Individuals are the majority of the owners of STRs, owning 1.2 STRs. Having an STR in real estate is one of those last places where small businesses can thrive, since big corporations are not able to keep the quality of an STR high. SB 1066, we must pass that to prevent a repeat of the Jackson County Assessor's unsuccessful attempt to reclassify these properties as commercial.
Thank you, Ms. Cordell. That's your time. Appreciate you coming tonight. That's the only speaker appearance form I have. Is there anyone else in the audience like to speak in opposition to?
Could I ask Ms. Cordell for an explanation of one thing she said?
Ms. Cordell, if you're available for a question, I'll leave that up to you.
Mike, well, come up to the mic so I can.
Sorry, I was out of breath.
With all due respect, I did speak to her while I was out for a walk for a little over an hour, and she's very well spoken on this issue. I just want you to know that. But you mentioned prior regulations. What prior regulations did you, I don't know, since we don't have any, what are those?
Well, actually, I spent over $65,000. I'm in a unique situation in that I have my basement was remodeled specifically for midterm resident, rentals, because I wanted to bring nurses and professionals into my property and stay in Blue Springs because I love this city. And I had permits pulled. I had the city come out and have it inspected. So for me, that is where I'm at. I already went through all of this and had everything taken care of.
So prior regulations for a different classification of rentals then? You said midterm, so not short term.
Well, no, it was just making sure that my property was safe.
I get that,
and,
okay. It was confusing because I didn't know.
No,
we had
yeah,
those.
yes, there was no prior ordinances, correct.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions?
Nope, thank you for answering the question, appreciate it. Any other comments from the council before I close the public hearing? Councilman Edmondson?
Just a little background, because you said maybe this is short-term or mentioned short-term for World Cup. You know, we've kicked this idea around for over 3 years, and short-term rentals have been going on in Blue Springs for a long time. We've even had some documentation on that. So it's not like this is a knee-jerk deal just because it's World Cup. It's something that's been in a process, and it's finally come forward enough that we've got an ordinance that we're trying to propose.
Any other comments from the council for the public hearing? Okay, with that, I will close the public hearing. Next is introduction and reading of Bill 5389, amending the code of ordinances related to short-term rentals.
I'll introduce it, Your Honor.
First reading of Bill 5389, an ordinance amending Chapter 405, Section 405.050, Chapter 605, Section 605.020, 605.220, 605.230, 605.240, Chapter 655, Section 655.130 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Blue Springs, Missouri, to establish short-term registration, operating standards, and land use regulation of short-term rentals.
Your Honor, I move we approve all of that on the first reading and move to the second.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Councilmember Erickson.
Your Honor, may I make a motion?
This would be an appropriate time to do that.
Your Honor, with respect to some of the comments made and some of my concerns about safety and getting it right, and I don't think I'll just say that. I think we should come back and consider the inspection aspect of it and be sure that we have that right. So I would move that we postpone this or move it to a later date, and I would suggest we do that 2 meetings from now. That would be the April 20 meeting.
Have a motion from Councilmember Erickson to, what's the word for that? Continue this item till the April 20th City Council meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on Councilmember Erickson's motion? Go ahead, Councilmember.
Just be sure it's clear to not just to bring this back, but to bring it back with consideration for the safety and the inspections and whatever, just to redo it a little bit.
Okay, so that would be providing, in addition to continuing, you'd be providing direction to staff to add language consistent with inspections. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Safety standards.
Okay, safety standards. Any further discussion on Councilmember Erickson?
Your Honor, if I may.
Councilmember Edmondson.
And maybe staff can answer this question. I know it was mentioned, the fire part of it. Is that something that our inspectors do, or is that through Central Jackson County Fire, of which we really don't have any control over?
So at this moment, the city, with our building inspectors, we do not currently inspect hotels, motels, or any rentals. That's all up to Jackson County Central Fire to do that.
I just wanted to clear that up.
Any other discussion on the motion? Councilmember Brummel?
Yeah, I think they need a little more clarification if that's what we're trying to do. Are we trying to ask Jackson County to do this? Are we trying to ask our code folks? Or, I mean, I guess we kind of need a little more detail.
If I knew the answer to that, I would say this is what I'd like to see in the motion. But I don't feel like we have the safety standards and the pre-applications and the self-inspections down to what feels good to me. So I apologize for not having all of those words. That's what I want staff to do, and I'd like to talk to staff about those things specifically, and go from there.
Okay. Any other discussion on the motion?
Your Honor?
Councilmember Kaler.
Is any guarantee that CJC or any fire do inspections on these?
Well, we had the chief here a few minutes ago, but he already left. Does staff have any answers to that question?
I know for like hotels and motels, I think they do the initial fire inspection when they first open, but I cannot say if they go back. I know when people come in and have rentals now, it's self-certification. And so the staff, as of right now, city staff does not go out and do any inspections. So.
Do you know, based on the research on proposing this ordinance, I heard it mentioned that other municipalities do inspections. I guess I was under the impression most municipalities did not do inspections.
Most do not. And the municipality I came from, which I won't say for lack of better, they do not currently do any inspections.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Okay, then we will vote just on the motion to continue to April 20th with additional safety standards. All in favor on that motion say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no?
No.
The noes have it, and the motion fails. So now we're on the original motion on first reading for the Code of Ordinances related to short-term rentals. Any further discussion on first reading of Bill 5389? Okay, then with that, all in favor on the motion, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no?
No.
Okay, motion carries. Second reading.
Second reading of Bill 5389, an ordinance amending Chapter 405, Section 405.050, Chapter 605, Section 605.020, 605.220, 605.230, 605.240, Chapter 655, Section 655.130 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Blue Springs, Missouri, to establish short-term rental registration, operating standards, and land use regulation of short-term rentals.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, Your Honor.
Councilmember Kaler.
I've been trying to stay quiet here, but there are a lot of third and fourth bedrooms that are not adequate for safety reasons. What I mean is they put them in a basement and the window to be able to escape from a fire are not big enough, and they cannot be classified as a bedroom. And I still feel that we should look at this in a safety, and that's where I'm at, Your Honor.
Your Honor, if I may?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Councilmember Erickson.
I want to say this right and don't make it too bad. If we vote for this, it seems like we're voting to not do safety inspections because it's not there. So it's a negative of that. Self-inspection is fine if the person, Ms. Wade, Ms. Cordell, I would trust that they would probably self-inspect correctly, but we do know that that's not necessarily true. And then the legal bedroom, our ordinance, if this passes, would of course define the legal bedroom. Then how are we going to find out if that bedroom's legal or not? And there may be some information out there that says they are and they aren't, but how do we know that? We have a bedroom in the basement that's surrounded by 4 walls and a door, and it's 20 feet away to the steps to go upstairs, and there's concrete walls around the basement. How do we feel comfortable with that? I can't feel comfortable with it based upon people that I don't know and have no knowledge of whether their self-inspection is correct and adequate. So I'm imploring you guys to come back and somebody move that we get that right so we don't pass something that is not safe.
Staff, to that concern, do we have a definition of how a bedroom is defined? Is it per county parcels or?
We have it defined in our code, and then also on the life safety, it is required to be a code compliant egress required. So it would be something that, like I said, the initial business licensing, we would check in to make sure that they are the proper.
So all the codes related to safety and parking and all that would be?
Yes.
Would be verified?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any further discussion on second reading? Okay, roll call.
Councilmember Tholen.
Aye.
Brummel.
Aye.
Erickson.
No.
Edmondson.
Aye.
Rowan.
No.
Kaler.
No.
Mayor Levesey.
Aye.
Motion carries and given ordinance number 5485.
Okay, I don't have any speaker appearance form for the public comment section, so we'll go to item 11, introduction and reading of Bill 5390, amending the Code of Ordinances related to kratom and intoxicating hemp products. Do I have an introduction?
Your Honor, I'll introduce it.
First reading of Bill 5390, an ordinance amending section 225.010 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Blue Springs, Missouri, and adding section 225.195, regulating the sale, purchase, and possession of intoxicating hemp-derived cannabinoids and kratom products.
Do I have a motion on first reading?
A motion.
Yeah, you can continue. I'm hearing you say you want a motion to approve on
A
first
motion
reading?
to approve on the first reading, please.
And proceed with the second.
Proceed with
Okay,
second.
is there a second on first reading?
Second.
Okay, now we're on discussion. I'll start discussion for this one, since I discussed with staff to propose this ordinance. As mentioned at our last city council meeting, my main concern was we continue to talk about this with any direction on what we are trying to achieve. So after the last meeting, I talked with staff about the items of concern that I have heard related to these items in the community and any discussion that we've had. First being the access for minors for these products. And so this ordinance will prohibit the sale and possession of minors under the age of 21. To me, a minor is under 18, but it does make it consistent with alcohol and tobacco and cannabis. And so this would make it consistent with all those items in the city of Blue Springs. The only other concern I've ever heard talked about in the community as we've discussed these items is access to synthetic kratom, things like 7-OH, and so this would prohibit the sale of those items in the city of Blue Springs. So that's what you have before you. Anybody else have any discussion on first reading?
Go ahead.
Councilmember Kaylee.
Yes, sir. As we were in Sedalia and down there, they were talking about the look-alike products for kids. This does address that, is that correct?
It is, yes, that is, and for kratom products, synthetic kratom products, that is part of it.
Your Honor, I would like to respectfully disagree with your agreement on that. When we were in Sedalia, I don't think you were there, but the discussion was focused primarily on synthetic cannabinoids, et cetera, and the packaging. The kratom products were not discussed specifically, although 7-OH and its presence and this, that, and the other was. In the ordinance that's prescribed, or that's before us, I'll say you, because city or whoever, I admire and I'm happy with that about the labeling and all that for kratom products, but I think there's a vast, what do I want to say, lack of that same statement for the synthetic cannabinoids. If I'm wrong, the ordinance that I saw on Friday, it's not in there. I would be really happy with this. I would go back in time and move that we approve on the first and go to the second if that were in there. And that's a big thing that's missing.
So I believe you're right. I believe the items mimic candy products for children is specifically in the kratom section. If you wanted to make a motion to add item C to the synthetic cannabinoids, that would be appropriate.
So moved.
Is there a second on the motion to add item C under kratoms to the intoxicating hemp product?
I'll second it.
Okay, we're doing this on the fly, so city attorney, do you have any concerns with adding that item? Yeah, so item C is confection mimics canning products manufactured a different way appealing to children. So if we add that same section to intoxicating hemp, wouldn't that have the same effect?
Would you just have to change some of the words to say it?
I don't know that you would even have to. Yes.
Yes, okay, yes.
So if we transfer that to C to also included in A. Okay, the city clerk, do you have any clarity on what it is we're motioning? Okay, so I hear the city clerk and the city attorney both say they understand what the motion includes. Council, I have a motion and a second. Do you have discussion on just the motion to amend the ordinance to include item C under A for intoxicating hemp products as well? Any discussion on that item?
Sounds straightforward.
Okay, with that, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, no? Motion carries. So now we are on first reading as amended of Bill 5390 with the amendment. Any further discussion on first reading?
I have another question, Your Honor, and I'm
Councilman
trying to
Barrett.
find it real quickly so I don't hog the section, if you will. The one that talks about the inhalants.
Sure.
Could you go to that? Tell me where that section is. Yeah. About not having dangerous.
So that is item C. No, it's not.
Oh, here it is. I think it's
There,
no,
it's-
that's a definition.
It's number 3 under item 2. It would be on page. Well, it's page 6 of the ordinance, but that doesn't tell you what page it is in PDF. Page 769.
Well, while we're looking for it, my concern is the definition of the licensed medical people and the dentist. What's it,
Okay.
who is that, or what licenses are we talking about? Are we talking about, well, when I say this, I don't want to say that I'm opposed to them doing it, but is it the podiatrist, is it the chiropractor, is it the nurse, is it the where do we draw that line? What is medical, and I'm not real sure.
Try not to offend the dentist.
Well, the dentist is in there, so that's already there, but licensed medical professional, can I do it? I guess let's just offend the veterinarians because I have a medical license to do that.
That is.
So it doesn't say that in the ordinance. No, of course not, But it doesn't say that, it says medical license. And I don't know what the state definition of that is, but when you go to the licensing thing, there are nurses, there are a lot of folks with that. And a nurse can't do it unless they have a collaborative physician, at least my understanding is, and that would have to be a nurse practitioner. But I'm talking off the fly, I don't like that statement that is just medical license, which is, I'll shut up.
What would you feel more comfortable with, Councilmember?
I don't know. This is why last week, or 2 times before, I wanted to get to get this right, so we'd have an opportunity to go through those things, and I saw this on Friday morning. I don't know. I need to do the research, find out what the state definition is of medical, and go from there. And I don't know if it's my job to say you can and you can't.
Okay.
But if there's no clarification for it, then it seems like it's shouldn't be in there. And if it's not in there, then it should be. So we're in a catch-22.
I don't even see that section. Is at the bottom in C?
Well, I have it marked on here.
You still looking for it?
You find it?
It's an intoxicating hemp
The
derived.
care or treatment of disease, condition, or injury by a licensed medical or dental practitioner. So it would allow for use on a licensed medical practitioner.
And use of which? Is it just the product or is it the inhalant products? Because it comes under that section.
Yeah, I think it would be any of those.
So you can
Yeah, I'll
use
see
the
that.
dangerous intoxicating or the dangerous inhalants based upon the way this is written.
That's
scares
how
me a
I
bit.
read it as well, yes.
Scares me a bit.
Okay. Do you have a motion along those lines?
No.
Okay.
But I'd be happy to come up with one, but I think that one on the fly is a little tougher than the other one.
Okay.
So I don't know if I could get the medical things right and separate them out, and if I would want to include 7-hydroxy because that's an illegal product, and I think most of the quote medical people would not be allowed to do that. So I do think that needs more work.
So if it's a licensed medical practitioner, what would your concern be that they would use it that would be inappropriate?
My question is not about the use of it. My question is who can.
A licensed medical practitioner. So what's unclear about that?
Does it say practitioner?
It does say practitioner.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is the same language from the Kansas City ordinance. That's where that was pulled from. I don't know that provides you any more surety, but licensed medical practitioner is the language in the ordinance.
My problem is going to run into the fact that I'd like to do the ban, I'd like to do this right, and I'd like to do the 21. That's a little bit of a compromise in my mind, but I'd really like to get it right. I don't want to go home with that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councilmember Kaler.
Yeah, but on A, intoxicating hemp, number 3, it goes down and it says products if a licensed medical professional has prescribed intoxicating hemp. It doesn't really say in a licensed medical, it doesn't go to that same. So now I'm confused because one says one thing and is this basically the same thing
I
as
think
what the other?
They both use the same language, licensed medical professional. Okay, any further discussion on first reading as amended?
Your Honor,
Yeah,
if I
Councilmember
may,
Edmondson.
I would like to compliment this one in the fact that we did put in there penalties if you break this ordinance, which we haven't had before, and I've complained about that on several occasions that, you know, you can pass it, but if you can't enforce it, you know, what's it good? So this one does put that in there, so I do appreciate you doing that.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, then on first reading, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed, no?
No.
Okay, motion carries. Second reading.
Second reading of Bill 5390, an ordinance amending section 225.101 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Blue Springs, Missouri, and adding section 225.195, regulating the sale, purchase, and possession of intoxicating hemp-derived cannabinoids and kratom products as amended.
Your Honor, move to approve the second reading and provide the proper ordinance number.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Erickson.
I think I found what I'm looking for, if I may.
Yeah, continue.
The section 3 on page 7, as I printed it, unlawful for any person to sell, deliver, on and on, dangerous chemical products, and then it goes down to C, notwithstanding the foregoing the prohibitions of this subsection shall not apply to the following: the care and treatment of a disease, condition, or injury by a licensed medical or dental practitioner. That's where I wanted the definition of what a licensed medical practitioner was, or licensed medical or dental practitioner was.
Correct.
And I don't think it's there, and I think we could find exceptions to it. I want this thing to pass, but I want to be sure it's right.
Okay, any further discussion on second reading? Okay,
Yeah.
Councilmember Kaler.
All we wanted to do is just get this right, especially after listening to some good thoughts last city council. And that's all that I think that anybody up here is really wanting, is to just make sure it's right. However, this isn't exactly like I would like to see it, but it's a start, and I will not throw the baby out with the bathwater, so I'm gonna go ahead and be voting yes on it.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilmember Brummel.
Aye.
Erickson.
Aye.
Edmondson.
Aye.
Rowan.
Aye.
Kaler.
Aye.
Tholen.
Aye.
Mayor Levesey.
Aye.
Motion carries and given ordinance number 5486.
All right, I don't have any speaker appearance forms, so we'll go to council member comments. Any council members have anything to add? Things been happening in the last couple weeks since the last meeting? Anybody from District 3 want to talk about what we did last Friday?
Was it my turn?
Councilmember Rowan?
Okay. Councilmember Brummel and the mayor and I had the privilege of speaking to the sixth graders at Moreland Ridge Middle School. They were, I believe it was in accordance with their government class, they were learning about government. We went and discussed what local government was like. We got asked awesome questions like, how many suits do we have? Are we millionaires?
Do we have bodyguards?
Bodyguards, which is yes and no. But it was a really interesting experience. It was great to get out and talk to those kids and introduce them what local government's like.
Yeah, we spent all day hanging out with sixth graders at Moreland Ridge. I don't know, talked to what, about 600 kids throughout the day? Wasn't
Give or take, yeah.
Give or take, so it was a pretty fun experience.
They didn't let us play dodgeball though. That was
No,
pretty bummed out
we
about
had
that.
to miss out on the dodgeball tournament. Okay, anything to add, Councilmember Brummel?
I'd just say it was Friday the 13th, and we made it through it with a bunch of sixth graders that were getting ready to go to spring break. So no, it was a great experience, and hopefully that they'll have us back next year, and we can continue on doing this and educating the youth.
Maybe a couple of council member daughters that we got to talk to in that process as well, so yeah. Well, not last Friday, but 2 Fridays ago, my wife, Grace, and I got to join and do lunch at Vesper Hall for the Senior Olympics. So I wore my Vesper Hall Senior Olympian shirt that I bought to celebrate the events. Was pretty exciting. We stayed for the opening ceremonies, got to see the torches come out and start the process. We didn't stay for the games. I was angling to do some Wii bowling because I'm a pretty experienced Wii bowler, but seemed like it was a lot of fun. They had gold medals and everything, so maybe next year you guys can join. We can have a team for a council team for the Senior Olympics.
Are we seniors, sir?
I mean, I am a card-carrying member of the AARP, believe it or not. So, and that's true. I'm not lying. So, in addition to that, tomorrow downtown Blue Springs will be St. Patrick's Day. We'll have the world's shortest and smallest St. Patrick's Day parade walking across Main Street. That starts at 9 a.m. tomorrow. It will be a chilly one, as sometimes it is, and so bundle up for that. There'll be lots of fun. Pat Meyer and Jim Wallace, and I believe the parade is Bill Cosgrove. Is that supposed to be the marshal tomorrow? So it'll be a lot of fun. There's another town in Illinois or Arkansas that claims to have the smallest and shortest. We know that ours is the smallest and shortest. The only float is the pitcher of beer that they walk across Main Street as well. So it's exciting. Also this week on Friday and then this weekend Saturday, if you haven't heard already, Powell Gardens has purchased Chapman Farms. And so they are opening operations starting this week. We have a Colonial Gardens. What did I say? Chapman Farms? Colonial Farms, sorry. That was a Freudian slip. So that happens this Friday. I think there's a ribbon cutting, and then they have some grand opening activities on Saturday. So Powell Gardens Colonial Farms will happen this weekend. And finally, it doesn't really happen before the next election, but our next city council meeting will be April 6th, will be the day before the municipal election. So voting is already open with absentee and early voting. And so in addition to the council races, we also have a council or a city election on revenue bonds. So be sure to look up information for that and be informed as we head into that election. So that's all I have. Any further comments from the council?
Your Honor,
Councilman Erickson?
I was going to try to squeeze this in earlier, but at the last council meeting, I think there was a little bit of rivalry discussed about maybe a council member from 3 who I'm looking at over there. I think his first name is Nick. His daughter and my granddaughter played basketball.
Yeah.
And sadly, the referees, I think, favored his team instead of our team. But I'm looking forward to the next match. I wasn't there, so I'm not even sure that happened, but it was supposed to happen.
I used my park commissioner card.
Is that what you did?
There's always next season.
I
right?
understand it was a good game.
Just like the Chiefs, there's always next season. So. All right, with that, then the city clerk will read a motion that we can so move to go into executive session.
Mayor, a motion is in order for council to go into closed session pursuant to section 610.021, subparagraph 1, 3, and 13, revised statutes of Missouri for the purpose of privileged communications between a governmental body or its representative and legal counsel, including litigation and personnel, and that any minutes, documents, and other records discussed or taken during the closed session remain closed, and that this body stand adjourned at the completion of such session.
Somebody so move. Did I hear you, Councilmember Erickson?
Yes, so moved.
I heard so moved. I have a second. Roll call.
Councilmember Erickson?
Yes.
Edmondson?
Yes.
Rowan?
Yes.
Kaler?
Aye.
Follen?
Yes.
Rummel?
Aye.
Mayor Levisay?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, we will head into executive session.
You keep it.